So, trees. We see them every day, right? In parks, lining streets, maybe in your backyard. They're just kind of there. But have you ever actually stopped to think about how absolutely bizarre these things are? Because once you start digging into what trees actually do, how they live, how they communicate, you realize these wooden giants are some of the weirdest organisms on the entire planet. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're rooted to one spot your entire life. You can't move, you can't run away from danger, you can't go find food. Everything you need has to come to you, or you have to make it yourself. That's a tree's entire existence. And somehow they've managed to become some of the largest, oldest, and most successful living things on Earth. That's pretty wild when you think about it. Let's start with something basic. Trees make their own food out of thin air, literally. Through photosynthesis, they take carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, water from the soil, add some sunlight, and boom, they create glucose. They're essentially running on light, water, and air. If humans could do that, we'd never need grocery stores again. But here's where it gets weirder. That process also produces oxygen as a waste product. Trees are basically breathing out what we breathe in, and we're breathing out what they breathe in. We're in this constant, invisible exchange with every tree around us. Now, you might think trees are just these silent, solitary things standing around. But scientist Suzanne Simard discovered something absolutely mind-blowing. Trees talk to each other, not with words obviously, but through an underground network of fungal threads called mycorrhizae. This network connects trees in a forest, allowing them to share resources and information. Simard called it the Wood Wide Web, and honestly, that might be the best name for anything ever. Here's how it works. Those fungal threads attach to tree roots and extend out through the soil, connecting to other trees. Through this network, trees can send carbon, nitrogen, and other nutrients to each other. A big mother tree, that's what Simard calls them, can nurture younger trees in the understory by sending them sugars through the network. If a tree is under attack by insects, it can send chemical alarm signals through the fungal network to warn neighboring trees, which then ramp up their own defense systems. It's like a forest-wide alert system. Think about that for a second. Trees are sharing resources with their competitors. That goes against everything we typically think about competition in nature. But it turns out trees in a forest are more like a community than a battlefield. They're cooperating, communicating, taking care of their relatives. Some trees will even keep ancient stumps alive for decades by feeding them sugars through the root network. Why? We don't really know. Maybe it's because those old root systems help stabilize the soil. Maybe trees just take care of their own. Either way, it's absolutely weird. And speaking of weird, let's talk about how trees deal with being stuck in one place. They can't run from danger, so they've evolved some seriously creative defense mechanisms. When a tree is attacked by insects, it doesn't just sit there and take it. Many trees produce toxic or bitter chemicals to make their leaves taste terrible. Oak trees produce tannins that interfere with insect digestion. Some acacias produce compounds that are literally poisonous to browsers. But here's where it gets really strange. Biologist David Rhodes discovered that when an acacia tree is being eaten by animals, it not only produces toxins in its own leaves, but it also releases ethylene gas into the air. Downwind trees detect this gas and start producing their own toxins before they're even touched. It's a neighborhood watch program, but for trees. The kudu antelope in Africa actually learned to adapt to this by feeding upwind and jumping between tree groups to prevent the warning signal from spreading. There's an entire invisible warfare happening that we walk right past every day. Trees also have incredibly weird relationships with time. We humans live maybe 80, 90 years if we're lucky. Trees can live for thousands. There's a bristlecone pine in California named Methuselah that's over 4,800 years old. It was already ancient when the pyramids were being built. There's a clonal colony of quaking aspen in Utah called Pando that's considered a single organism, and it might be 80,000 years old. 80,000 years! That tree system was around when woolly mammoths were still walking the earth. But even their daily experience of time is different from ours. Trees move, but so slowly that we never notice. Time-lapse photography reveals that trees are constantly in motion. They bend toward light sources. They curl their leaves to conserve water. They extend their branches in elaborate,